Greetings, everyone. My name is Gary R. Albrecht. I'm the founder and CEO of GPA Trading Services. I'm the creator of a software we like to call the MPA PE3 software, which stands for Market Price Anticipator Software. I'm also the educator and the instructor. Brief bio, I've been a professional trader for 20+ years. And from my peers, I'm considered a technical analysis expert. I'm the creator of a one-of-a-kind custom trading software, the Market Price Anticipator software, which we're going to review today. I founded GPA Trading Services 7 years ago in 2010. I have educated thousands of students over the past 10+ years, conducting live events, speaking engagements, platinum program. We offer one-on-one coaching and mentorship programs. If you haven't had an opportunity to peruse our website, we welcome you to do so. This is our website, GPA Trading Services. Today's topic is we're going to cover how to supercharge your trading results by anticipating future market conditions. Brief disclaimer, I'd like to highlight a couple of bullet points. Trading is not suitable for all people. Some markets are leveraged, and therefore it is possible to lose money deposited for a position. A person should only use funds that they can afford to lose and that fits within their overall financial plan as developed by a qualified financial planner. Our rules include never risking more than 2% of your entire account balance on any one given trade. For options friends, we recommend you never risk more than 5% of your entire account balance on any one given options trade, and always adhere to strict proper money management. Very, very important. All information provided in this presentation is for your educational purposes only and should not be taken as investment advice, nor as a specific recommendation or endorsement to buy or sell any investment. Trade at your own risk. Key components when anticipating future market conditions. I've basically been there and done that. So, as we anticipate future market conditions, we have support and resistance. I know it's basic, but many traders have trouble with support and resistance. The trend direction. How do we know which direction the trend is in? Is it up? Is it down? Is it sideways? Well, it depends on what picture you're looking at. Is it a lower time frame chart? Is it a higher time frame chart? And some could be up, some could be down, when the true direction might be in an up direction. The lower time frames may be in a downtrend. So it depends on your overall perspective and what you're viewing. The key is to utilize the multiple time frames and have those time frames align. I want to point out this important aspect because aligning the time frames is how you'll have successful trades and how you can supercharge your trading result by simply trading with support and resistance, trading in the trend direction, and aligning, the most important is aligning the time frames. Understanding how the lower time frames cycle within the larger time frame, as we refer to it as the line of progression. And we'll explain exactly what that means. When aligned into time frames, this is just a brief screenshot of software we offer, and we have multiple different templates. This is just one of them. In this example, you can see the monthly is starting to overbought territory, starting to turn over. The weekly is in the same area, overbought territory, and the daily is in overbought territory. When you align the time frames, you get the higher probability trades. In the case of aligning an overbought territory, starting the hook and cross pattern to the downside, which you'll hear a lot about today, that is aligning the other time frames. So remember, the key was to not only have the time frames align, but is to automate that idea of when do I know they're automatically in alignment. That's where this hook and cross pattern will come in. And as you can see from this same example, what we mean by following the line of progression once the time frames are aligned. In this example, we still had oil in overbought territory waiting for a massive down move. We offer triggers, as you can see up at the top, for a selling indicator, as well as our hook and cross pattern. So what is this behavior you would expect the market to anticipate in advance when you know you have the higher time frame starting to turn over? Well, here's another proprietary aspect of our software. Not only once you get the hook and cross pattern will the lower time frame, in this case the weekly hook and cross, illustrates the daily will move from overbought toward oversold. But since the monthly was also moving lower, it means the daily is going to exhibit this behavior of stair-stepping with the overall direction of that trend. And we like to call this slingshots. And in this case, you'll watch this indicator up here, we call the price action indicator, which slingshots over and over and over and over. That is a phenomenon unique to this software only. It repeats itself over and over, as you can see multiple times, in this overall downtrend. And as a trader, you always wonder, well, I know the saying, buy the dips in an uptrend, and I know the saying, sell the rallies in a downtrend, but how do I know if I'm in an uptrend or I'm in a downtrend? You organize and align the time frame, and the software will give you perfect entries and exits along the way. Here's an example of a currency pair. We showed you a commodity, now we'll show you a currency pair. Same thing. We have a monthly that's starting to bottom. We have a weekly that has a hook and cross pattern. The daily then goes from oversold towards overbought. So ladies and gentlemen, you'll have this well in advance. Not only do you get triggers to go long, you'll get the hook and cross pattern. As that develops, you know you're going to have several days of upside pressure as the pound dollar started to reverse. And we would expect the 4 hour to do what? Because we're in the direction of the monthly turning, the weekly up, the daily moving from oversold toward overbought, the 4 hour should exhibit that slingshot phenomenon over and over and over. And as you can see, the 4 hour went from oversold towards overbought, depressurized to slingshot higher, and again, and again, and again. So it repeats itself over and over and over. And this is what we mean by you can align the time frames and anticipate future market conditions as they're unfolding, long before we expected the 4 hour to exhibit this behavior. Just like in the previous example, we expected the oil would continue to slingshot lower and lower. Here's gold. Gold's in the same predicament. We're in a short-term downtrend, but we're waiting for a big reversal. And as we were moving lower, the monthly started to give us a little bit of a pullback, but it's in the bottoming process. So we knew to look for this to give us a higher low, higher high ultimately. And as we can see, my weekly started to bottom, my daily started to reverse, and my 4 hour initially slingshotted lower up until the daily reversed, and then we were able to get in the uptrend. So you can trade in both directions with the software very easily by following the line of progression. Well, we took one step further. We said, well, it's nice to be able to look at multiple charts to understand, yeah, I could see this is bottoming. I can see this is starting to turn up. I could see this is starting to turn up. And then this should move from oversold to overbought. But let's automate it to the point where once I see a hook and cross pattern, it's going to dictate that the daily will move in a direction. And the daily, as it moves in that direction, the 4 hour is going to end up slingshotting higher and higher as this continued in that uptrend. So it's anticipated before it happens. Well, instead of looking at screenshots, let's go straight to the software. And we'll start off by showing a live trade we have. For those of you that have seen me present before, we're up now 1,356 pips. A few weeks back, we were up a few hundred pips, and I said it would keep going and keep stair-stepping and keep stair-stepping. Well, we're not finished. The weekly is still up, and the monthly is still up. So that tells us we have hundreds and thousands of pips and a remainder of this trade that's going to last for months. As long as the trend momentum and PAI are up, you expect this behavior to continue. Eventually, the weekly is going to turn over and start that slingshotting phenomenon. But the whole time we started with the hook and cross pattern, we were able to get in this live in class. And I told our students, let's get in. You're going to stay in it for weeks and months to come because this is going to go much, much higher. Those of you that saw this weeks back, when it was only up a few hundred pips, I said it would definitely go on to reach 76.50. Well, we're getting closer and closer to 76.50. So far, the high this week is 76.02. Well, it's going to break 76.50 and go much higher, as illustrated by our trade management system. This trade management system takes into consideration these indicators, and as they align, it automatically enters the trade for you. It is on-screen programming, so I can move my stop loss deeper in the profit, lock it in place. You'll notice it gets deeper and deeper in the profit. And I can move it as far as my take profit up here. What if I don't think it's going to quite go that high and I want to take profits when it gets halfway? Then you simply click it, drag it down, lock it in place. It's all on-screen programming at your fingertips. This system will manage this trade from start to finish, whether you're in it for a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, a few months, or in a few years. Constantly manages the trade based on the criteria you enter. The pound CAD was another trade we told everyone to get in, and we're only up a handful of pips when I said get in. Now look at it. It's up 294, and it has a long way to go. This phenomenon of this slingshot, where we slingshotted down and failed. We came down as we were moving lower. I told everyone this is going to make a higher low and it's going to go on to make a higher high. And the weekly eventually, certainly by the time it turned and hooked, we were already bouncing. But before it bounced on the lower time frame, I said, everyone get in. It's going much higher. So you can see we're expecting this to go much higher in the days, weeks, and months to come. I have multiple targets to shoot for as we're continuing to go higher. And what I wanted to call your attention to was this swing point right here. When this engaged down and failed, the highest probability is this will now go on to reach this high and break a new high. The pound odd I just showed you is more along the way. It engaged down and failed as we anticipated. And I said it was going to go to 78.60, 76.50, sorry, and it's on its way and it will break a new high. Well, how do I know that? Because the time frames are aligned. And here's another example of a currency pair, the pound New Zealand. The pound New Zealand did the exact same thing. It engaged down and failed, and we said when this was like 1,500 to 2,000 pips away, we said it's going to reverse and go up that 1,500, 2,000 pips and break a new high. So you'll notice the pound New Zealand has already made a new high, and yes, it still has much further to go. The pound odd is already, weeks ago, we had hundreds and hundreds of pips to get there. Now we're starting to reach near the swing point high, but it still has much further to go. And the pound CAD, the most recent trade, check out where that swing point high is for those currency traders. It's up at 78.50. So we still have over 700 pips still to come, and I think that's the tip of the iceberg for this to continue higher. So remember the key. You need to know where support and resistance is. The slingshot phenomenon means the time frames are aligning, and it means I've found support when it engages up. When it engages down, we found resistance, and the time frames are aligned. Same as when we get the hook. As soon as I see a hook, I know the time frames are aligned. That's why we continue to get in these trades and make thousands and thousands of pips no matter what market we're going to trade. The hottest thing going right now is Bitcoin. If you would have been in this class, you would be retired by now on Bitcoin. I simply told our students to keep buying the slingshots higher and higher and higher over and over and over. And it's continuing to slingshot over and over and over. During this pullback, when we had the daily swing point high and we got that hook and cross pattern, it meant the 4 hour was going to move from overbought toward oversold, and it went down $2,200. I told our students at this point it's going to pull back, it's going to go to the sweet spot. When it does, buy it again when it reverses on that slingshot. What exactly did the 4 hour do? The 4-hour went from overbought toward oversold. See it over here? Overbought toward oversold. And then it reversed with a hook and cross pattern. The daily engaged, and we went up not only the $2,200 drop, but it's gone on to make an additional $2,000 plus from this 78, 7,900. Now we're up at 99. Simply by following the line of progression, buying the dips in the uptrend, utilizing the cycling time frame and the alignment of the slingshot phenomenon. Well, ladies and gentlemen, check out our automated trade management system. When I go into the properties and to the inputs data, I can not only tell how many lots I want to trade, the stop loss, take profit levels, but I can go on to tell this trade management system that I only want to buy trigger longs and or slingshot longs. Or if I just want to trade every time the time frame is aligned, I don't care if I go short or long, you can tell it true across the board. If I only want the longs, on the shorts, I would say false. And on the slingshot shorts, I would say false. And then say, okay, then we can click and drag and enter this trade so that even if I'm not at my computer and I tell it to buy that slingshot back up, it'll automatically enter that slingshot when it engages and enter you in the trade. It's phenomenal. And even during these hook and cross patterns, when we receive those, we don't get them often in Bitcoin as of late, but they're very accurate in this swing point low to swing point high, Fibonacci style retracement, higher. I can rinse and repeat this over and over just by watching the cycle as it turns over from the swing point high to the swing point low, and it'll give a high probability sweet spot retracement, then buy the slingshot higher. You rinse and repeat. You come from the previous swing point low over here to this swing point high. What did it do? Went to the sweet spot, engaged, and went higher. So I use Fibonacci's along with the hook and cross pattern during pullback. Someone would say, well, how do you know it's going to pull back? You look for the hook and cross pattern. I know the strategy is to keep buying these slingshots higher and higher, but yes, you can actually trade these to the downside when the hook and cross pattern appears. Those of you that like indices, well, what about the Russell? Everybody loves to trade the Russell. Russell's available. We have multiple signs and symptoms throughout multiple platforms. Let's go to stocks right now. I'll pull Russell up in a minute. Here's one for day traders. Teva was falling off a cliff. Imagine if we could have ought a put on that, right? We did. And we were slingshotting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower, over and over and over and over and over, because the time frame was aligned. We had a monthly turning over, we had a weekly turning over, we had a daily turning over. Everything was setting up for Teva to make a big move down. Well, just last week, I started telling everyone, Teva's ready to bounce. You're going to get a significant bounce out of this for the same reason we knew Teva was going to plummet. And it's already up over $4 in that trade. Well, day traders know you buy 1,000 shares or you use call options and buy a few contracts and you say, okay, all I needed to do is move a few cents. I told our students it was going to bounce several dollars because of the alignment that was setting up. Not only did my daily start to move from oversold to overbought, but we got a weekly hook and a cross pattern. So Teva is going to continue to climb a bit higher. I don't think Teva is going to reverse and break to new highs, but we're going to follow the line of progression in the direction of this trend. Well, you could have made a $4 move on Teva. Think about that day trading. Well, maybe you only want a few cents to get in and get out, but if you want a longer term position with options, let it keep running because the weekly is up and our monthly is oversold, starting to turn up. So Teva will continue to climb higher in the coming weeks. Baba. Peg this one as well. Keep buying the slingshots higher and higher. It doesn't matter the stock, and futures, commodity, ETF, bonds. It's not a matter of what market. It's a matter of simply aligning the time frame and utilizing the highest of probability trades. It gives you precise entry, exits, take profits on all markets. So no matter what I want to trade, I have the option to do so. Baidu. What did we say about the hook and cross pattern? The hook and cross pattern repeats itself over and over and over on all time frames. When we had that swing point high to swing point low, we got a hook and cross pattern on this daily. Highest probability it's going to go into the sweet spot. What did it do? It went in the sweet spot. But Gary, it seems to be turning over and wanting to go lower. Well, again, it's trying to go higher right now, but look at the weekly. The weekly is still down. So the bias is it's going to make a lower high and a lower low before the reversal to continue higher in the future. And the monthly is starting to show a hook and cross pattern. So I expect to see Baidu, just based on the alignment of the time frames, to allow this to continue to stair step a bit lower as the weekly finishes this cycle. But during the period, knowing I expected this to go on and make a lower high and a lower low, it still was tradable utilizing the Fibonacci sweet spot location and the hook and cross pattern. Remember what it means. When you get a hook and cross on the weekly, the daily is going to go from oversold towards overbought. When you get a hook and cross pattern on the daily, the 4-hour is going to go from oversold towards overbought, and you have that days in advance. Because it takes a daily days and days and days to make the cycle. It takes a 4-hour multiple 4-hour candles. In this case, a day plus and still counting. And now it's turning back over. Notice if I wanted to scale this, say, okay, I want to sell. All I do is get a 4-hour PAI hook. What does that mean? My 1 hour is going to go from overbought to oversold. Like clockwork. You can't make this up. Right? So what about Russell? Well, Russell's the same thing. It's been slingshotting higher and higher as the Dow and the rest have. Our tactic has been to keep buying daily and 4-hour slingshots on the Russell because the weekly has been moving higher. We expected it to slingshot making a new high as we did the previous, and 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 it's continuing to stair step. Notice what the weekly gave us during that pullback. We had a swing point low to a swing point high. Well, Gary, it didn't quite make it to the sweet spot when it reversed and engaged up. Correct. But we didn't get the official hook and cross pattern. It basically flattened out and didn't officially start crossing down, but that's the key. We're going to follow the cycles, and the tactic was to do what? To buy dailies and 4-hour and weekly slingshots as long as that monthly stays up. And notice the monthly. It too has been slingshotting higher and higher. So if you're asking, well, Gary, I don't know about Ichimoku, is that the only chart you have? No, within our templates folder, we have literally numerous templates for your viewing pleasure. And they have with and without the trade management system. We offer so many components to the software. But the key we're focusing on today was support and resistance, how we can anticipate future market conditions, and how this would supercharge my trading result. Simply stated, the hook and cross pattern means the time frames are aligned. The slingshot phenomenon means the time frames are aligned. Those triggers I showed you means, depending on the type of trigger that fired, means the time frames are aligned. So we did take all of this information and add it to a trade management system that allows you to buy the dips in the uptrend, sell the rallies in a downtrend, or simply trade it up or down depending on your type of strategy. Simply aligning the time frames is a critical component. And that's where the Russell is still headed higher and higher. We talked about this at the previous viewing. And I said, well, what about those S&P mini traders? We love S&P minis. Well, I know a lot of S&P mini traders that they get a point or two and they die and go to heaven. Well, with this software, you're going to not only make a point or two, you're going to make 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 points. Those of you, again, weeks ago, when I said it was going to 26.14, and you're thinking, oh, sure it is with the pullback. So it's going to make a higher low, it's going to go on to 26.14, and now we're breaking above 26.14. So what's your next target? Next target is 27.70, then 3,000. I think we're definitely going to go towards 3,000 before it's over with. I think the Asian markets and the European markets are going to implode first. Then you're going to get all of those trillions of dollars pumping into and flowing more directly into our stock markets, pushing our markets even higher. it's going to push gold and silver to much, much higher. So based on this, yes, we're going to continue to stair step towards 2770. We reached 2614, and I told you 2614 months and months and months and months ago when we were hundreds of points away, and here we are. Now we're another 170 plus points, 150 points from the 2770, and even further from the 3000. This will continue to gyrate higher and higher and higher as the time frames cycle and align. Why? The monthlies are still up. Yes, they're overbought, but they keep slingshotting higher and higher and higher. The last time we saw this hook and cross pattern on a monthly was the flash crash. Before that, it was way over here when we were in the early stages of that reversal. And it kept going, slingshotting over and over and over and over and over. Well, don't get carried away and think, well, the S&P is never going to stop going higher. It's always going to go higher and never get a pullback. Those of you that like the Fred G. Sanford & Son, Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey. We're going to get this wave one complete, whether it's a year, 2 years from now, and it's going to reverse. And the value of the S&P is going to crumble by minimum 50%. I'm anticipating a 78.6% retracement. So whatever the value, if it's at 4,000, it's going to go at least to 2,000. If it's at 3,000, it's going to go to 1,500. Whatever that value is, you look for the sweet spot location when you get the hook and cross pattern, and we're going to watch as the stair steps down over the next few years. It's probably going to take at least a year to two minimum in the retracement and the decline, but it's going to be substantial. Up and until then, I'm the biggest proponent to keep buying the dips in the uptrend because I'm keep following the line of progression. And look at the weeklies. All I had to do with this since this reversal is keep buying monthly and weekly and daily and 4-hour slingshot. It's been on the chart for years now, and it's continuing to go higher and higher and higher. Intraday, those of you that like to make a point or two, all you got to do is keep following the directions, and when the alignment, what happens when a 4-hour engages, like we saw this morning going into today's session, is simple. It means once we start to see this engaging up, my lower time frames are automatically in agreement, right? Automatically in agreement. So what is the 1 hour? It's reversing. What is the 30 doing? It's reversing. Automatically in agreement, ladies and gentlemen, by simply finding a hook and cross pattern. Well, we even automated that not only in a trade management system, but we have scanners that'll scan all markets for your viewing pleasure to find the next big trade. And I could dictate whether I want to trade off the lower time frames, the immediate time frames, or the highest time frames. It's all customizable, 100%. All right? So, what about trading results? We showed you a couple of trades that are up huge, and they're going to continue to go up even further. Here's an example of gold. We traded gold, and this is previous trade that we banked. Thousands of dollars on these trades, simply by what? Aligning the time frames, letting the software do the rest. $126 move. Not a $100, I mean a dollar or two or $12, literally a $126 move higher, simply aligning the time frame. Here's gold to the downside. It works in both directions. Yes, you get triggers. Yes, you get the hook and cross pattern. Yes, the time frames are aligned, and we were able to manage a $150 move lower. Another massive trade. It continues. One of our students uses TradeStation. He takes the signals from our trading platform and enters the corresponding trades in TradeStation. These time frames were aligning in multiple currency pairs, and he allowed his trades to run to 8,600 pips. Well, that wasn't enough because he says, Gary, TradeStation continue to run. My account is now up 18,311 pips by allowing the time frames to continue to run. We call the slice of heaven finder. It's the one that scans the market, aligning those monthly, weekly, and daily time frames, and he allowed these to run. Here's the screenshot of his TradeStation now up 18,300 pips. Gold we showed you a moment ago. Here's another one. And now we're going to go to a currency, whether you stocks, futures, commodities, currencies. How do I know when I'm in a stronger trend and I should stay in a trade? Well, here's the pound odd. We showed you we're up over 1,300 pips and counting, expecting much more to the upside. Well, here's one to the downside, 778 pips. Well, we weren't finished because the time frames were still aligned. It went on to 1,274 pips. Well, they still were aligned. We weren't finished. We let it keep going. And what happened? Up 2,270 pips. Well, that wasn't enough. We still let it continue to run. Why? Because the time frames were aligned. Very simple. Time frame aligned. It went up to 3,627 pips. Here's the pound CAD. We're currently long, right? 3,073 pips to the downside. Simple process. All you got to do is align the time frames, and this system automatically aligns them for you through the trigger pattern, the hook and cross, and the slingshots. And it continues to make these enormous trades. Here's the pound yen, 3,215 pips. We can continue this on and on forever. Well, what about scalping? We have these breakout strategies that the software automatically will give you based on your input, a high and a low, and if it breaks the low, you sell it, breaks a high, a bracket trade, and you go long. Here is a bracket trade that broke down to the downside, and we made 272 pips, right? $3,600 trade simply on a breakout trade that lasted a few days. 272 pips. Great. Here's a options trader. Never traded Forex in his life. He was an options trader and started in our service. He says, I'm excited that I was in a position and I was able to make $1,200. I noticed the time frame was still aligned, so I got back in and made 300 more. And without using your system, I would have bailed on that trade a long time ago for a loss. So he made $1,500 by following the line of progression, where his normal behavior would have been the bail and end up with a loss. And he says if it continues to go on, he's going to make his profits on gold and different trades that he had running, that he intends on, what? Dropping his financial advisor in several newsletters he was subscribed to. He applied for a Forex account to add to his Thinkorswim account, and he can't wait as he continues to follow the line of progression, learn the software. Well, this individual's been with us for about 5-6 years now and has never looked back, year after year after year after year. Well, one thing you'll notice with GPA Trading Services, it's not a fad. This is the last software system you'll ever need because it's all about aligning the time frames. And our students have all been with us for many, 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 many years, not just days, weeks, and months, but year after year after year since day one. We're proud of that. And think about it. It's because the system works. Now, we're offering what we call the Master Trader Program. What exactly is that? That is our premium edition software we briefly touched on, and that is our live trading classes. Within the software, we have many, many components. A market scanner that takes all the information we've been talking about, the slingshots, the triggers, the hook and cross patterns, the time frames aligning, and it scans the market for you. The Slice of Heaven Finder is the one you set up to scan the market for perhaps I want to do the monthly, weekly, and daily setups, like I've been showing these long trades that have been up, and gold going up $150, and Bitcoin going up several thousands of dollars. That was the Slice of Heaven Finder scoping out, finding that trade, telling us it was ready for that big up move or the big down move. Slingshot trade triggers, we briefly showed those to you. The MPA trade management system, that is the automated system that's running on this trade and maintaining this trade as we speak. Right, I'll go back to it and show it to you one more time. It's the one that's managing this trade, and you saw it on several of the screenshots, as we continue to go up 1360 and counting, continuing to climb higher. Hint, 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 for those of you, this will continue to stair step, not just go straight up, but stair step as the time frames with, against, with, against, with, against, with, and watch in the coming weeks, not only is it going to break 7650, but it's going to go up hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of pips higher in the coming months. So there's the trade management system. What's unique about the trade management system, I can use it to instantly get in a position. Oh, I look at it as a perfect setup. I want to get in right now. You click and drag to trade, say buy or sell, and it'll instantly get you in the trade. But you can set it in advance so that you can set up to buy the dip in the uptrend or sell the rally in the downtrend. And even when I'm not at my computer, it can enter the trade automatically for you by setting up your credentials and your criteria. An MPA Platinum Asia scalping system. We have a triple P scalping system. These scalping systems will literally blow your mind. Everything that we have ties into the hook and cross pattern, ties into the slingshots and the triggers. Because why? If you were listening, it means the time frames are aligned as those present themselves. And yes, we use it in the scalping systems as well. We have a breakout trade system I briefly showed you. We have a bracket system I briefly showed you. One's a breakout, one's a bracket, depending on if you're expecting, depending on highs and lows or perhaps support and resistance levels break. You can set pending orders so when they break, you can go long or short, or a bracket to say for those day traders, well, in the first hour of trading, if we break the high, I want to go long, or we break the low, I want to go short. That's what we use for the bracket trade system. Now, the top 10 reasons you should be trading with the MPA software and nothing else. It will automatically calculate support and resistance levels. It will automatically identify the trend of each time frame. It will automatically monitor and track those time frame cycles. It provides consistent entries, exits, and take profits based on the trifecta: trade triggers, slingshots, profit triggers, and our hook and cross pattern. The trade management system I mentioned briefly, you can set it in advance, customizable for any type of trader, and you can say, okay, I'm not interested when the S&P turns over and gives us a dip for a day or two or a week or two. I want to buy that dip in the uptrend. And you can set it in advance so that it's armed like you do your alarm system at home. And then once it meets the criteria, enter the trade for you. Or you can enter it instantaneously when there's a setup, and it'll manage the trade from entry, exit, from start to finish. It takes profits along the way, everything for you. It'll fit any trading style. Guess what? A slingshot on a 5-minute means the 1 minute's in alignment. A hook and cross pattern on a 15-minute means the 5 and 1 minute are alignment. So the same thing we discussed for the daily, the weekly, the month, it works on all time frames. So the scalpers are truly blown away when they say, all I got to do is get a hook and cross on a 15 and go long or go short, depending on direction. Yeah, because the 1 and 5 minute will be in your direction. It means it's aligned. Dual scanners, the Slice of Heaven Finder and the Market Scanner, scan the markets for the next big trade so you don't miss them. It works on over 800 symbols, including stocks, Forex, futures, ETFs, commodity, bonds, etc. It'll consistently deliver low risk, high reward, high probability trades. What more could you ask for? And speaking of bonds, 30-year Treasury bond. This is in the process of making a much larger stair step lower. We have an A, a B, a C, and we're working on a D down. When the Fed starts raising rates, bond prices will go lower. And in the coming years, as the Fed starts raising rates, this is going to go down to this 125, 126 previous low. Well, that's over 20-something points away. One futures contract is for the 1 point, it's $1,000+ $1,056 move. Multiple contracts are a lot more. A couple of these trades you can pay for this system for years to come on a single trade. So again, it works on all markets, all time frames. Now, what are you offering? Because you're a special webinar attendee, we would like to offer you a special monthly trader program. It's called the MPA Premium Edition 3 Master Trader Program Monthly. What we're offering, previously we offered this for $399 a month. You were able to have the software plus our live trade classes. Well, we're not going to ask you to pay $399. We're going to mark it down to $297 a month, where you get the software plus the trade, live trade classes. And as an added bonus, because it's holiday season, if you sign up right now under authorized.net, which is our checkout system, we'll extend your access till January 15th. We'll give you an additional 2 weeks of a holiday bonus. Complimentary. So you utilize this link, www.gpatrading.com/amember/sign-up/monthly 297. It's been posted for your convenience. When you click on this link, and I'm already seeing sales go through, thank you everyone for your participation, but you will be led to this page right here, which is our website, and you'll see MPA Premium Edition plus the software for $297 a month. If you check out using authorized.net, you fill out, finish the process, we will add the additional 2 weeks or the expiration for the next rebill until January 15th of 2018. So you can get a little over 2 weeks bonus for the low price of $297 a month. And cancel at any time, but what we found, our members don't cancel. They keep staying with us and with us. One simple little alignment, you can make your money back, and the rest of the 6 weeks you have, you'll be able to make additional profits. One simple trade, you can make your $297. So again, all you need to do is click on this link, and I do see more sales going through. Excellent. So as I'm watching, and just click on the link, you will be led to this page. You finish the checkout process, you'll have immediate access to the software, to the trade platforms, to our live trading classes, everything we archive. So if you can't attend live classes, you can watch at your viewing pleasure anytime, 24/7. They're available. Now, as you're signing up, we did promise those that would attend, we were going to offer some lucky individual a complimentary trial membership. So the first person to enter his or her first name, his or her last name, and his or her email address, the first person will receive a complimentary trial membership to our wonderful program. While you're contemplating to sign up, or hopefully you're the one individual that's going to win a complimentary membership, we want to thank you for attending, and we look forward to you joining us. Remember, why would we use the market price anticipator software? We saw many other softwares. There's so many out there to choose. Well, this system is priceless because it empowers you to read and anticipate price in any financial market on time, in time, all the time. If you have any questions, please submit those to support@gpatrading.com. Please send your questions to support@gpatrading.com, and we'll gladly answer them for you. We're proud of our world map. We have over 117 countries and counting. So if you're from a country where your map is not on here, your flag is not on this map, then please join us and it will appear. And again, our students have been with us not for 6 months, not for 6 years. They've been with us since the inception. If the program wasn't successful, they wouldn't stay year after year after year after year. And we're making this offer, especially to those attending the webinar, by clicking on this link. You'll have over 6 weeks access for $297. If you compare that to any other service, they charge you way more than $297 for a live trade class, much less the software. So we're allowing you the opportunity to have the software and the classes. I average about 6 to 8 hours of live class instruction every week for this low, unbelievable price of $297 a month. And we have an awful lot of fun in class as we swap recipes. I'm an excellent cook. We have Cajun recipes. We do a lot of things for our members, not only seriously about trading and making profits, but also having fun along the way. So in closing, whether you like to trade Bitcoin, you want to trade gold, silver, gold, anything, futures, commodities, ETFs, bonds, it's simple. By the hook and cross pattern, it aligns the time frames, and knowing the direction of the higher trend, which direction is the trend momentum in the PAI, is it pointing up? Then you're in an uptrend on that time frame. And knowing that Bitcoin was in a monthly going higher, a weekly going higher, a daily going higher, we expected this behavior of slingshotting higher and higher and higher and higher. And it's going to continue, right? Simply watch the line of progression and know when I enter because of a hook, my lower time frames are in agreement. And know when I buy a slingshot higher, I know it's going to go higher because my time frames are in alignment. Fair enough? So with that, Tanya, I'd like to say thank you for your inviting us today. I appreciate your time and attention, everyone, and giving us the opportunity to speak to you today. Please take us up on this monthly special, additional 2 weeks for the holiday bonus, because one trade you can make your investment back, and the rest of the 6 weeks you'll sit there making additional profit. So with that, I'll say thank you, God bless you, and hope everyone has a wonderful holiday this Christmas.